Hello, everybody. Welcome to Todd and Shane's Cloudy Podcast, episode 450, recorded live Wednesday, February 12th, 2020.
450. I feel like we should have some meaningful moment right now, but I can't think of like a clever thing around 450, so I'm gonna have to just go with no.
Yeah, and I think that if we would have wanted to memorialize this as a milestone, we should have done it or figured it out before 30 seconds into the podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe 451 is like the Fahrenheit 451, the Bradbury book. Maybe we podcast 451. We do something special for that.
Well, and to be clear, right, are we going to renumber when we just delete all the lost episodes?
So the lost episodes, you'll be very disappointed in me. I started finding the lost episodes this morning, producing the lost episodes. Would you like to guess when? So we always joke about, I'm going to be speaking at this conference in 6 years, but by the time, how far back do you think the first unpublished podcast was?
Is 2017 too far back to go?
Which month of 2017 are we
Darn it. Now, how bad was it? How bad was it?
October 30th. So Halloween.
Well, I'm wearing a pumpkin orange shirt today, so maybe...
There you go. So yeah, I'm getting caught up. And for those of you who have not seen them live, so Lori, you have 4 months, you nailed it. Who've not seen them live, really what happened was I switched over to the newer version of Camtasia that week. And the obviously I knew the interface and some of that was going to be a little different, but the output files that it created were so radically different from the ones that I've got. They were bigger. I mean, 2-3 times larger than the files I'm used to having. And so fought with that a little bit. And then something shiny caught my attention and I forgot about it. So I'm working on that now with the old version of Camtasia. So,
so speaking of our friends at Camtasia, I need to reach out to them. Recently, probably been 3 or 4 months now, about the time you got mad at it. My audio tends to disconnect from the video slowly over time. So at the beginning of the video, it's perfect. Yep. And by the end, we got a bad case of lip reading going on.
Right.
And so I've gotten pretty good at fixing it. I mean, it sucks. It's a terrible process, but if I know how to fix it. Yep. But I just can't for the life of me figure out why it's just developed this. It just gets tired.
So normally when that happens, it's because the audio and the video are compressed or encoded separately. And as ridiculous as it sounds, a second of audio and a second of video are not the same. And so and I'm sure this is how Camtasia did it before, but like high-end, well, not even high-end anymore, video recorders insert time codes into it, because they know that as the compression algorithms go through, the audio gets compressed a little more or a little less. So they put time codes in so they can line them up at milestones. So I'm guessing either the time codes aren't getting in or the audio compressor's been changed in a way that... So I would try maybe fiddling with the compression, your output settings a little bit to see if that's what's triggering it. Not that you changed them and caused it, but something behind the scenes caused it.
Okay, but so I like this. So the question though is,
I'm glad.
It's not in production it's happening. It's in, you record, you go into the editor, and so in the editor is where they're getting out of wonk by that hair.
Yep.
So it wouldn't be my output. It's like it's my...
So you save it to an MP4.
It saves in a proprietary format.
Oh, that cam rec,
Yep.
dot. So if you just play that cam rec, it never gets out of sync?
It's not out of sync until I start editing the file. So I go in and remove all of the like we're waiting on SharePoint to load because SharePoint's slow and those type of things. I remove all of those, and somewhere along the way of slicing and dicing, it loses that 1/10 of a second or
just enough that you catch it. Yeah.
As someone who has listened to himself speak for thousands of hours, yes, I all of a sudden catch it.
Oh, I can commiserate with somebody who's had to listen to you speak for thousands of hours. It's pretty painful. So one thing I will tell you, I guess the other thing is, you are the foremost expert on you, and I catch that stuff all the time because of this. My wife never catches it.
Yeah.
So like we'll be watching, YouTube TV or something, and we've got a bunch of things that contribute to that audio and video getting out of sync. I catch it all the time. Jill never notices it. So it might not be worth your time to fix it because nobody might be noticing it.
It might not. I can't watch a TV show if that starts happening in a show. I'm out. Peace.
Yeah.
This is not going to happen.
Yep, and I bet Nicola has no idea anything's going on.
No.
Yeah. So there's Lori. Lori catches it. Yeah, just once you know about it, it's tough to ignore.
Yeah. Well,
so so I'm.
Go ahead.
So I'm catching up on production, so hopefully make some progress there.
No, you reminded me though, watching TV, right? Because we just talk about whatever on the show.
Yeah, it's notes be damned. Yeah.
So Netflix, right? Do you guys binge a lot of Netflix? Are you Netflixy people?
We have Netflix. I wouldn't say a lot because we just don't have a lot of time. But yeah, we do that stuff.
So we've gotten into a pretty bad habit or good habit, depending on what you look at. You know, basically when the kids go to bed, we turn on whatever show we're currently working our way through, and we just let it play in the background, right?
Yep.
But one of the things that Netflix does is after you've been watching for so long, I don't know what the number is, I should, probably two hours or so, Netflix will pop up a message and say, hey, are you still watching?
Yep.
Right? And I don't know if about you, but for us, I just feel like Netflix is being so judgy, right? I feel like Netflix is saying, hey, butthead, go to bed. You should not be watching the show anymore, right? And so that's one of the things that we've been really struggling with is we feel that Netflix has become very judgy in its old age about our TV viewing habits.
I have not thought that Netflix was judging me, at least not about that. Certainly about my viewing choices. I always thought of it as like a welfare check, like Netflix looking down and going, "Hey, buddy, are you okay? Haven't heard much out of you in the last couple hours. You all right? All right, okay, cool. Just I've always thought of it more like that.
Nope. I think we literally just yell at Netflix like, "Quit judging us."
Screw you, Netflix. So I will say one thing. I mean, I certainly approve of Netflix bothering you in any way that they care to.
I assumed.
Order that. One thing that they did do in the last week, though, is they added the ability to stop the previews across the entire platform. Oh. Holy God. Is that not the greatest thing that I've seen on Netflix ever, was the ability to shut those things off?
Yeah, and as a guy who does a lot of those different services, right, Netflix is the best, right? They are clearing away things that features like that, the flipping, the usability, all of that stuff. Yeah, Netflix is just kicking everyone else's butt. Yeah,
now I will say I really hated the preview thing a lot. And I know enough about how that stuff's set up that I know they could have offered us the ability to shut that off from day one. They were deliberately choosing to force us to watch those things, which is like those Disney DVDs that have fast play.
Oh my God! Don't even.
14 minutes of previews before your movie starts. So like Lori's saying, I'm just trying to read the description of the thing. I just need a moment. Just like turning the car radio down when I'm lost. I just need a moment to read the description. All of a sudden, shit's moving and words are flying and Now it's all shut off, and so I'm very happy. With the web client, you could mute them, but you couldn't stop them, which was okay. That's again, it's like turning the car radio down. But in the Roku client, you couldn't do that. But now it's shut off for everything.
Yeah, well, yeah. The word part of the previews, right, is basically they remind you that you're probably watching something that you wouldn't be proud for the world to know you're watching, right? Because
that's everything.
So I'll be honest, right? Right now we are working our way through for the second time, Heart of Dixie, right? It is just basically a soap opera.
Unadulterated brain candy. Yeah.
Yeah, right? And I'm like, all right, well, this is what I watch now. I'm old. I don't care. Yep. Move on.
Yep. So we're doing, so I guess first note to everybody going to Netflix, you have to go into your profile on the web and shut that off, and it's per user, per profile. Go do that. It's awesome. So right now we are binging something on Amazon, which, Amazon. But anyway, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Can't speak highly enough of that. It is just the funniest thing ever. Yeah. I was never, so it's won Oscars and Emmys and Tonys and Moonies or whatever. I was never attracted to it that way. Saw it in Amazon. Never. One of my friends, she would not shut up about how much she liked it, and I'm like, I'm either gonna you have to stop. So if I watch one episode, will you promise to never mention it again? That's all it took, and so it's just hysterical.
That is. That's good.
Yeah. So here's one thing that I will say about those two services. So I get Amazon Prime because I've got Amazon Prime. I've not paid for it like I do Netflix. To your point, Netflix handles every aspect of video streaming 100% better than Amazon does.
Yep.
So, for instance, if I'm just sitting somewhere and I need to watch a video, I can open up my browser, Netflix, Control Enter, boom, I'm there. If I want to watch something on Amazon, I'm like, well, I go to Amazon.com and I go over here, I click the thing, I click Prime Video, I click subscriptions, there's just all of that whole thing. Netflix.com, Control Enter, boom, and I'm there. And it's just, in the app, the interfaces, just everything about it is better. I would watch more Amazon Prime Video if their experience was better.
See, and I have never watched anything on Amazon Prime Video. I don't know. I just haven't gotten that far down the rabbit hole ever. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a bunch of good stuff out there. And for us cord cutters, that's also how we get Showtime and Stars, I think, is through Amazon. So The Expanse, like Mark Christmas was talking about that. Yep, The Expanse is good. That's on Amazon. There's a bunch of good stuff, but the experience is just so inferior to Netflix, just in every way. Yeah. Bosch and Sneaky Pete, also very good. Yep.
All right. The other one I was watching, and you want to go on a complete another tangent? But so I was watching The Witcher, right? I was kind of enjoying that.
You talked about that. Yep.
But so, all right, so this is completely, The Witcher reminded me. So, twice in the last 3 months, I've tried to get back into exercising more, right, than just the little bit that I currently do. So, I was hitting the treadmill. I was being a good little boy. And so the first time I did that, about a week into it, I got the quasi flu or whatever. I was sick for days. I was like, oh. And so, A, that knocked me out of the routine. But B, I said, what happens when you exercise? You get sick, right? So then, time passes. I'm like, all right, I'm going to get back into this again. So I was on the treadmill. And I was watching The Witcher. That's what kind of connected this. When I'm on the treadmill, I watched The Witcher.
Gotcha.
And so I was enjoying it. So I was on the treadmill longer. And about a week and a half into that, I got that damn kidney stone. And so I've still not been able to get back into exercising again. But so basically I've started exercising twice in the last 3 months. And both times I've went down in debilitating fashion. So I'm really struggling with this idea of getting back on the treadmill so I can watch The Witcher again, right? It's kind of my trade.
Yep.
But I'm afraid to exercise because, after kidney stones, I'm assuming all I can do is have a heart attack. I don't know. This is a rough part of my life. You see what I'm doing?
Yeah, that's boy, it is tough being you. That's yeah. Do you? So that's what I've been toying with the idea of getting a treadmill. Do you have one at home, or do you go to a workout place?
We have one here.
What kind do you have?
I knew you were going to ask this.
The questions only get harder from here.
I know it's pretty old at this point. It's one of the major brands. So it's one of those deals. 15 years ago, we walked into Costco and they were on sale it's like $800 for a commercial grade, blah, blah, blah. Like it was probably a $4,000 treadmill we got for $800. And so it's great. I love it, but I do not have probably any of the details you want out of me.
You are once again completely and utterly worthless.
I'll leave it. It's about 50 feet that way. I will go walk over and get the serial number, model number.
Well, if it's 15 years old, that's probably...
Yeah, right. That's the thing. If someone else was asked the other day, I'm like, it doesn't matter. You can't buy what I've got out there. But it's been rock solid. It's been through moves and multiple house moves, and it's really, really heavy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I helped a couple neighbors move them. So I'm looking at a Nordic track, and I think the thing that's talked me out of it is just what Lori was saying. She had one, and they got rid of it because it collected dust. That's what I'm worried about.
Mm-hmm. And that's with ours. It's kind of ebbed and flowed, right? It has not been. It would go years without being used, and it would be used for 3 or 4 months, and then.
Yeah.
Nicola won't get on it at this point, but anytime that I am trying to exercise and kill myself,
or wanting to just get deathly ill,
yeah. Which helps you lose weight, which was the whole goal of exercising.
There we go.
Maybe I'm looking at this all wrong.
If it works, how can it be wrong? That's the old...
yeah. Brody hangs clothes on him. I get that.
Yeah.
But no, I think someone in the thread I was in last week about these things, I think I really agreed with their advice of, you got to go somewhere and basically run on all of them and just figure out which one has that right amount of give for your stride type of thing,
Yeah. I don't know if there's any place around here I can do that.
So the best place around here to do it would be like Dick's Sporting Goods. So wherever your local, Dick's is would probably be worth a trip for you if you're really going to buy one.
I'm I'm kicking around considering really buying one.
There you go. But I do agree with them, right? Because, clearly you want to get on it and actually run, right? So you need the one that's got the kind of the right, they all have a different personality. And so you want to find the one that kind of matches, the way you want to run on it. So.
Yeah, I talked to a couple of buddies of mine that are way more professional runners or serious runners than I am. And they've given some of that feedback on, how you want the deck to work and what kind of motors you want and that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
And they're so expensive and they're such a pain in the butt to get and then to get out of your, right, to deal with when you decide you don't want to mess with it anymore. They're like a pool table in that capacity, right? They seem like a great idea, but at some point you're like, oh my God, just get this giant thing out of my house.
Yep. So Fred's asking how often I use the exercise room in the hotels I visit. I do it fairly frequently. I have found that in a lot of cases, the treadmills that are in hotels are, professional treadmills. They're not the same kind that I would want to pay for at home. So it's similar, but not the same.
Yeah. But, and like mine's got, speakers and all that. So you can plug your device in and it can make it can amplify that. And I don't use any of that, quite frankly. I just put my phone on there and turn it up. And I really wish if I did it more, I would put a TV down there so I didn't have to kind of run. I have to run like this.
Yeah.
Instead of being able to, put it out in front of me where I could run in a more.
Yep. So. I've got that part covered, I think. But yeah, I should do. I don't run outside very often because I'm a wuss. And it's cold, and.
Yeah, play it against sports, right? So like Kevin's kind of implying there, that's another one of those places that sometimes you can find that stuff. But
yeah,
how far is the nearest Dick's from you?
I don't know. Somebody who's not doing a podcast right now, go find out what kind of sporting goods stores they have in Des Moines, Iowa, and put that, because I don't want to try to type and figure it out while I'm podcasting. So get on that, internet nerd army.
Because you have to get it delivered, and then because it's 4 months.
Well, I was looking at buying them on Amazon. Amazon's got them. I know exactly which one I want. I've got it on Amazon saved. I just need to click, make it happen. Because they do it. They deliver it for $120. They'll put it together and everything for me. So that's yeah. Well, should we look at some of our notes? We've got some things to talk about.
No, I don't know why. I mean, let's just admit we just don't really, we just talk about whatever we want.
It's kind of like Top Gear was a show about cars, but it was really just the opportunity for those three guys to make fun of each other and joke around, and the cars were just kind of the MacGuffin in the whole thing. I feel like that's. So I did want to say though, so we did not do this, and I found that there's never too much time to spend talking about my birthday. And how great all of that is. So once again, we did the charity drive for my birthday, and as is tradition, and I think this is 10 years that we've been doing it now, Lori does all the hard work and collects everything and gets me a card, and then we always forget that Martin Luther King Day delays the mail, so I always get the card after my birthday. It's very fun. I look forward to it every year. But then I got the card, and then we didn't podcast, and then Lori was gone last week. But anyway, I got the card.
Nice.
Yes. And it's fun. So I don't know how things have worked for you guys, but as I've gotten kids, the birthday cards and all that have, become more noisy and all that. So I've got one of those. And so it pops out. So thank you to everybody who donated this. Now, I didn't realize there was a letter in here. I purposely did not. Oh, there it is. Okay. Purposely did not open it before this so that I could get the whole thing. But it's got a list of the people who donated and how much they donated and where they donated to. So we raised nearly $3,000 this year. And I can't remember what that puts our lifetime total up to. So always very cool of you guys. I think this year I can probably promise that I will match that in some form or fashion with charitable giving of my own. So that's good stuff. So thank you to all of you. Thanks to Lori for doing all of the hard work. She's very good about that.
And maybe one day I'll have a birthday.
I don't know why we would do that. I don't. I mean, everything's been going fine. Like I don't know why you would change something that seems to be working well.
It's so much hate. I just
Yep.
don't understand.
Kevin and Mark have done a great job in the chat room showing me the places that are that are around, so that's been good.
Closes
You
at
guys-
9:30, right? I mean,
If I leave now, yeah, we could go there. Yep. So 25 grand, nearly $24,000 lifetime total, not counting my matches. And I don't remember which years I haven't matched. So it's yeah.
Well, and I in the letter that Lori sent, I sent her a picture of my derriere with some letters written on it. But I'm guessing she did not send that to
I
you.
do not see any vision. No, she was very good about that.
She must have kept that for a private collection.
Yeah, yeah. She keeps it in a round basket next to her desk. That's where her private.
Yeah.
So thanks everybody. It's a very cool thing, and I think I do all this tech nerd stuff and all that, but the fact that people associate me with charitable giving is probably one of the best parts of all of that. So I appreciate that.
Well, Brody just made a Happy Gilmore reference. Good job, Brody. No, that's it reminds me. So when I was way younger, right, like we're talking early 20s, I sent over. I'd done a bunch of marketing photos for some little thing we were working on. Basically, it was a very attractive young lady in one of our shirts. This pose, that pose, and so I sent them over to the rest of the people that need to review them. And sure enough, about 2/3 way through, I inserted one photo of my own. And it was a picture of my butt.
Family show? Okay.
With the business name written on it, so it was in theme. And I just died just thinking about these poor guys, right? They're like, oh, that's pretty. Oh, yeah, like, right? Ah! Yeah, and for like 1 second they're thinking, oh, it's, this pretty young, and then they realize, nope, that is Shane's. So, I'm a bad person, but that was one of my fondest memories.
I would have absolutely wanted to do the same. So,
right? Can you totally now? Next time I send you a batch of pictures, aren't you gonna be a little nervous that picture number 7 is
always never not nervous? Long before this story, never not nervous. That's.
Well, I guess you've been justified to be nervous all those years.
Don't let the kids look at them first or anything like that. Oh no.
Uncle Shane sent this stuff. Just back away. Daddy will open it privately, and then we'll see. We'll go from there.
Yep. No, that's. So thanks again. Very cool. Very cool stuff.
All right. 1 hour, half hour in. You want to wrap this thing up?
Well, so we do have a couple of fun things that I did want to talk about. This one just kind of in passing, only so that we can mock it appropriately. Several months ago, Microsoft talked about how if you had Office 365, they were going to hijack the search settings on your browser, whether it be Chrome, Edge, Firefox, whatever, and make all of your searches go to Bing, because that's what they do. And of course, the internet erupted, fury and anger.
As they should.
And so, yes, so last week, Microsoft's like, well, maybe we won't do that then. And so they have relented on the situation that has been affectionately referred to by Mary J. Foley as Bing jacking. They have relented on their Bing jacking.
Yeah, that was nice. I mean, I assumed once the uproar started that the Bing jacking was not going to happen, right? Because they've gotten pretty good at reacting well to this type of stuff.
They really have. And this is, I mean, I've lost count of how many times Microsoft has floated a balloon out, and it's been something that was just the dumbest idea ever. And the internet has told them about that, and they went, okay, yeah, you're right. And they've pulled back on it. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of them. And every time it happens, first I'm mad, and then I'm like, I just want to give him a big hug afterwards. I'm like, thanks for listening, big guy. I appreciate it. I don't know. So yeah, this story has a happy ending.
No, and I guess it's weird to say, right? But at this point, to your point, as soon as it came out and as soon as the roar started, I moved on. I like, they won't do it. I just, there was no chance once that happened, they were going to do it. And validated. They've gotten pretty good at, to your point, just listening. So
yeah, I was happy about that. So they're still going to do it to an extent, but it's going to be an opt-in thing now. And it's only going to be for a subset of Office 365 customers. And in reality, they weren't just doing it to be jerks. Like that's Microsoft from 25 years ago. We can argue that was, but they weren't doing it to be jerks. their idea was they wanted to get people exposed to the Bing for Enterprise stuff, the Bing that is catered to your tenant, but also does internet searches. And that was the thing. They wanted to push that out so everybody could use it, and they got a little heavy-handed with it. And so I think they pulled back to a reasonable amount where as a tenant admin, if you want that, you can turn it on, and it only works up for certain tenants. But
yeah, your IT overlords will now decide for you what your tenants will be.
yes, the Department of No. Yes, that's so. Yeah. And I guess the other thing that comes from that is when these things come out for Microsoft, if you don't like them, make your voice heard, because it does impact things. It does matter.
Yeah. They that's like I said, I thought they would, and they did, and so good for them. And I do see the upside. I'll be honest, I still have, all these years later, still use Bing as my primary search engine. I have never felt like Google would do any better, so I've not had to relent and go back the other way. So
yeah, and I don't even pay attention to it anymore. Like whatever my browser sends me to is what I go to. Kevin is asking if users can individually opt in. Yeah, you already have been able to do that. So you've been able to go to Bing and get the corporate things. You've been able to do that for months. So that's not new. And I don't remember how I did it, but I certainly do it on my Simpraxis profile in Chrome and now Edge. So yeah, that's been there for a while. We're not big enough that it's really handy. It's kind of an annoyance, honestly. But yeah, it's already there.
Yeah, I would argue Power Apps 911 has the same issue, that we do not have our SharePoint infrastructure in a manner that is very helpful.
Well, we just don't have, our corpus is small enough that if I want something from there, I just go to it. I never search like that for internal stuff.
See, we just don't have, we have, most of our stuff, for whatever reason, ended up in OneDrive. I think because at the time that we kind of were launching, OneDrive Sync was better than SharePoint Sync.
Yeah, yep.
And I mean, there ain't a file on this computer I can burn to the ground right now, and it won't slow me down an ounce, because every single thing is in OneDrive, and it is all sync. So
yeah, I'm mostly the same. Yep. So that was good. So it is.
So you mentioned ChrEdge there,
yeah.
So earlier we were talking about it, right? Because you were an early adopter. You've been in there. You're a big fanboy.
Sort of. Yeah, I was a fanboy wannabe, and they got their stuff together. They earned my love.
So I'm trying to follow you. You know, I'm trying to get there.
Per usual. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, 9 months? Who? But so I guess my number one complaint right now. You were going to tell me what to do about this, right? Was the whole. I want to type in ChrEdge. It's called ChrEdge, but clearly my computer does not know what ChrEdge is. So I have to type in Edge. If you type in ChrEdge, you get Chrome, and that doesn't work. So that's
very good. Yeah. So and I don't know where you were typing it, but I've added ChrEdge to my dictionary. So my autocorrect stuff. So it just does it. And that's an interesting thing. So I know some of the Edge team, like in email and on Twitter, I don't know how they feel about the term ChrEdge. Like, is that okay? I've not. Do they use that term? I know we use it, but I don't know if that's like an official thing. So I'm always a little nervous to use that.
Well, I can tell you that they have bought the AdWord. So if you search for ChrEdge, there's a Microsoft ad.
Good to know. Good to know.
What about if I go to Google? Let's try that.
Nothing happens if you go to Google. No results.
No, so the number one link on Google is download Microsoft Edge Insider channel. So it's not the right URL, but ChrEdge is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so on Bing, they've given themselves an AdWord for it.
Yeah, I switched over to ChrEdge as my default browser a week or two ago, and it's not bad. I mean, it's just there. It works. What I've found. So I've got a couple of browsery issues that I have to work around because of my workflow. And so like one of them is I'll normally have music or something going on in the background, and it's often web-based.
Yep.
And so I don't want that media playing in the browser that is my default browser, because then if I skip a track or something and that browser has focus, and then I go into Teams and I click a link, it's going to go into that browser instance. So I had to switch because I used to do all of that stuff in ChrEdge, because it was not my default browser, and I used Chrome. So I've had to, figure all those different links out and swap that behavior. And And I don't have ChrEdge as my default browser on a couple of my machines. So my bookmarks have gotten a little out of sync because I'll add a bookmark in ChrEdge, but it won't show up in Chrome on another box. But it's, other than those things, I've been happy with it.
Yeah. So the app pinning, I think that was one of the big things that started to drive me that way, because as we've talked about ad nauseum at this point in the lost episodes, right? Your hatred of Teams and
yeah, which is almost gone now.
Yeah,
because of ChrEdge, almost gone. So I can't remember if we talked about this last week, but one of the benefits that ChrEdge has over Chrome and all that kind of stuff is there are a bunch of Microsoft apps that you can go to the web version of, Teams, Outlook, OneNote, whatever. And if you go up into the gear up there, there's an option to install as app. And it creates a shortcut that looks like the app. So it is convincing enough that Shane did that last week when we talked about it. And today he couldn't find it because he was looking for a browser link and he was ignoring the Teams link. It was the app. So I always have that up. So I've got the Teams, the regular full Teams client running somewhere. And then I've got the ChrEdge app instance somewhere else. So now I can switch instances and I can chat and do all the Teams things that I couldn't do before. Works like a champ. Very happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, because we do the show now on Teams, and so when you're rambling, right, and I get bored and I need to do something else, now I've got Teams, the pinned version, over my other monitor, so I was over here answering Nicola's questions while you were rambling about something. And
adding value is how I like to refer to it.
Yeah, I was adding. Oh, no. But so I think this pinning as an app was really something that kind of made me go, I think I'm going to go try that. And to Todd's point, I couldn't find it because it literally looks like the Teams app. Like I have the two up and I see differences, but they ain't a lot.
Yeah, for me, the only way that I can tell them apart is if I look at the title bar. That's the big difference, because the title bar for the app, the ChrEdge app, looks a little bit different. It's got a different color to it. And I've looked at some of the, so the other thing is I've got a Surface Go and I have kept that in Windows S mode just out of curiosity. I don't use it for a lot of stuff, so it hasn't slowed me down being in S mode. But one of the things you can't do is install third-party apps. And that was a real problem with Teams before, because Teams wouldn't install in S mode, so I had to use the web client and I couldn't install Chrome, so I had to use Edge or Internet Explorer. It was all horrible. But now ChrEdge installs in Windows S, so I've got that installed, and now I can do all these app pinnings, and it's worked out really well.
Yeah. Now, one thing I haven't figured out how to do on ChrEdge, which hopefully you're going to tell me how to do, because you've told me how to do everything else so far. So I do the people profiles, right? So I have one for me and one for Chewy. And so in Chrome, what I've done is I've changed the browser settings. So basically Chewy's Chrome window is purple and mine is the default colors.
Okay.
So that way when I'm in Chrome, right, I'm like, hey, look, the purple one is Chewy, the gray one is me, and there's no confusion as I'm kind of flipping back and forth, which helps my videos.
Yeah.
When I went into ChrEdge, Chewy now has a ChrEdge profile, and Ferguson the cat has a ChrEdge profile. We've added a new character into the YouTube story.
Yep.
But so I went in and I changed Chewy's to, there wasn't the ability to change it to purple, so I was able to change it to dark or something.
Right.
But it changed all of them. So the profile, like the browser settings for that, looks like it is across the platform instead of specific to the instance or the profile.
Yeah, so I have not played with that, though I completely connect with your problem of being able to keep track of which one is which. And some of the feedback that I've given them is you can change your profile picture so much like you could in Chrome. But if you use an Office 365 account, it pulls your profile picture from Office 365, and you can't change your ChrEdge profile picture without changing your Office 365 picture. So I to your part, I have the same problem differentiating between the different profiles, but I haven't dug into it too much.
Well, next time you talk to him, you might just want to mention that for me, it was a lot better when Chewy's Chrome window was purple and mine is the default color. I'd really like to be able to go into ChrEdge and make Chewy's purple and mine the default color.
Yeah. But that's I'll put that, and they've got some feedback stuff, and I've actually gotten responses from them about my feedback, because like one of the things that I mentioned was if I sync with the same Office 365 account, I get my, my shortcuts and all that kind of stuff, but I rename them. So like if you just add an Office 365 account, it's going to call the profile Work 4, Work 5, Work 6, whatever. So I go in and rename that, Home or Todd or something. The next time I sync in with another box, it pulls all my bookmarks, all that kind of stuff, but it calls it Work 7, Work 8, whatever. So I have to go in and rename it to Todd. I'm like, could you add that name to the thing that gets synced so that when I, and they've emailed me back, they're looking at it. But yeah, they seem to be paying attention to that.
See, you've got their ears, so get my problem fixed.
That's what's way up high on my priority list, let me tell you.
Shane needs Chewy's window to be purple.
Yep. So we probably got time for one more thing. Choose. We've got about 6 things left in the notes. What?
You want to do E or I? E is probably longer. I is. I know I just had like one little joke for I think.
Well, let's do I quick, and then we'll see if we have time for E.
Okay. So earlier I was making fun of Todd, and what I was going to do was some stuff he wrote down, right? And we're going to, basically turn it into Chewy material.
Yep.
And then I, went pop culture and made the reference to Nancy, tearing up the speech.
Yep. State of the Union reference. Yep.
Yeah, right. And so I don't care about the politics side of it. What's really funny was when I saw that clip for the first time, because I did not watch the State of the Union live, believe it or not.
Yes.
I couldn't tell. Like I instantly said, is that real or fake? Right? Like I've gotten so used to the barrage of fake, edited, hacked up news that I literally did she really do that? Like that'd be really stupid if she really did that. But so maybe they just had, and that was a real sad state of affairs that I couldn't take something I was seeing, a video, and be like, is it real or fake? So that was kind of my whole point here. Was not I don't care about the political references. It was just the news cycle and the world has become, the deep fakes have become so prevalent that watching that I just immediately said, did she really do that or not? So
yeah, I did not. So I saw it. I didn't watch State of the Union either. I saw it referenced by a trustworthy sort first. So like I saw it on CNN or something like that. So I went into the situation believing that it was real. But yeah, if I'd have just seen like the animated GIF of that, I would have absolutely had the same thought. But yeah, so I think, yes, it is sad that that's where we're at. It's good that you have a discerning enough mind that you thought that, even though that time it was true.
Yeah, and we won't get into it, right? But I because I didn't care at all. But I would love to understand like what she, right? That just seemed like a really dumb thing to do. So I'm like, surely she didn't do this, right? But I don't know. Anyway. Yeah,
it came off very petty and petulant, and yeah, I agree. So in the chat room, we're talking about, you keep using the term deep fake. Deep fakes are something, the ability to manipulate video in a convincing way so that it looks like somebody is doing something that they're not doing. And I've never done a deep fake. The software's out there. I've not had any need for it. But essentially what you do, so like for the Nancy Pelosi thing, if somebody would have wanted to take a deep fake of that, they would have found a video of, or created their own video of somebody doing the thing that they wanted to make it look like Nancy Pelosi was doing. And somebody with a very similar body style and all of that. And then gotten a bunch of pictures of Nancy Pelosi from different angles and all of that, and basically told the deep fake, put that face on that action, and the software just makes that happen. And they're a little jittery still, but they're convincing if you're not looking for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And yeah, because we always thought of that type of stuff, like, like South Park, right? They would just shove a person into the scene, right? And it was very clear that it was faked and, hacked together. Yeah. But that is not the case anymore. It is not super obvious that people are doing this.
Yeah, so Brody put a good one in the chat room, and I'll put it in the show notes. Or actually, Lori, will you put it in the show notes, and then I'll put it in the show notes? An example of somebody taking, it looks like the preview for Home Alone, but putting Sylvester Stallone's face over Macaulay Culkin, so it's Home Stallone. But that's exactly it. So you take a video of a thing, and you've got a bunch of video and a bunch of pictures of Sylvester Stallone, and it's like the AI stuff. You just feed it a bunch of examples of what you want it to look like. You hit go, and hours later or whatever, it pops out.
Yeah, real good use of computing power.
Yeah. I always struggle to restrict technology. I'm hoping there's good that will come out of it. And Brody's mentioning that in the home Stallone thing, they didn't have to do any adjustment for Stallone's height. So yeah, that worked out really well.
Is he a super short one too? I didn't know that.
I bet he's like 5'4", 5'6", maybe. Somebody in the chat room looked that up. So side note on that, there's a movie called Bullet to the Head that came out like 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Stallone was in it. So, he's 65, 70, whatever. He as the main protagonist. And Jason Momoa was the antagonist. And so the climax of the movie was this big fight between them. Obviously, the movie is building up to that. You get 7 minutes into the movie, you know that that's going to be the thing. There is no possible way that 65 to 70-year-old Sylvester Stallone has any chance at all in a physical fight between 35-year-old Jason Momoa. I mean, Jason Momoa is probably 8 inches to a foot taller than him. I mean, 30-some years younger. I mean, so I was curious how they, and I don't remember that climactic scene being very, satisfying the way they tried to address that, but yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's a lot of that. I was listening to a podcast that was talking about, all these guys, the Hollywood tough guys all have like these things in their contracts now about how many punches they're allowed to take in the movie and, how many fights they're allowed to be in where they don't win. And I mean, there's all this. Yeah, it's, So not only do you have to deal with the physical mismatch there, but then you got to make sure that contractually, he's not allowed to pull his hair, but he can, scratch his nut, right? I mean, that type of stuff.
Step on his foot.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so in the chat room, they're saying that Stallone's 5'10". Momoa, I assume, is 9 foot tall, roughly.
I don't even know who that is. I guess I should search who that is, huh?
Yeah, he was Aquaman.
Okay. All right. See, thank you. He's,
and so, yeah, Kevin brings up a thing in the chat room. So we've been talking about these deep fakes. They are used a lot for unsavory things. So if you are curious about deep fakes, make sure you have your safe search turned on or you don't do it at work because you will find things that you should not be browsing at work. And it looks like your Momoa is 6'4".
There you go. So he's my height. He is a real man. All right.
But way better looking, and he can step on a treadmill without having a heart attack or a seizure or
kidney stones.
His pulse rate can get above 70 before he just drops dead. Yeah, it's superhuman in that regard.
I'm gonna do it this week. I'm gonna get back on that treadmill again. So you go ahead and plan for about 2 weeks from now. Me being out with some ailments.
I'll dial 911 now, and I'll be all ready. And
yeah.
I don't know what it is, but Shane's hurt.
Now, what's really sad, since we're making fun of me, let's just continue. So, because of all the issues, and then my children, I don't know if you're like this, right? But my children have about 4 to 5 things every day of their lives. Running my kids to soccer, basketball, whatever. I haven't played volleyball in months. Because it's on Tuesdays, and that's the day that my kids' schedules are the furthest apart. So unless the world's aligned, I can't play. I played last night. And as I've gotten older, another phenomenon that has happened to this old person is I typically don't get sore right away. Right? It usually takes about 24 hours for me to really feel the effects of exercise. Well, this morning I woke up, and so it's only been 12 hours, and I'm already dying. So about 12 more hours from now, I might have that heart attack. So I might not even make it back to the treadmill. So.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate. I'll just ping you every morning. Still alive. You can, not dead yet. You can. Yeah.
All right. We should probably wrap this thing up, huh?
We should. So I'm going to mark the things that we did not talk about in the notes, so we can talk about them next week if you're still alive. Yep. So thanks to everybody in the chat room. You guys have been great. I'll stick around for a little bit. Shane's got to go get some lunch. He's got to keep his strength up. Physical.
I'm going to go back to the urgent care and be like, hey, remember that shot you gave me when I came with my kidney stones? Can you just give it to me today? Just
proactively, just get that started. So for upcoming things, let's talk about that for a minute. I'm going to be at the SharePoint conference in May. I'm going to be at Techorama in Belgium in June. Still begging the European Collaboration Summit folks to let me in. I think I've worn Spence down. I'm going to end up sending him some alcohol or something. And then going to be at the SEF concert, SEF, in Sweden, also in June. And I think that is my dance card for now. What about yourself?
Well, I still don't have a passport, so I'm not going to any of those places. I was supposed to be in Lexington last week, and that got canceled because of snow. So now it is rescheduled for April 10th, I believe. Thursday, I will be speaking at the Cambridge, England. Yes, I will be tea and crumpets.
Say hello to the Queen for me.
Yeah. I think those are the only like solid things. I need to book MVP Summit, but that's not relevant to this conversation.
Yeah.
So.
You and I should chat about that because I don't remember if we ever got our stuff matched up for that.
I don't think we did. I think we're both in the same place, and we're both, but I don't know. Yeah, we need to figure that out.
Yep. So yeah, a bunch of stuff, and as always, if you guys have user groups and you want either one of us two jokers to speak there, we do remote them, all that kind of stuff. So reach out to us. We're happy to help out. That's all that I have. It's coming up on your lunchtime.
Very cool. I will go eat some lunch, and we'll just go from there.
I will try to crank out 2 podcasts this week so that by May or so I'm caught up and then not get so far behind.
Yeah. Lori's making me angry in the chat room, so yeah, we got to end the show now. All right.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next week.
See ya.